They were laughing, loud, natural, and lively, as if everything was perfect. I stood at the doorstep looking through the glass of the dining room. The familiar long oak table was draped with a white cloth, adorned with a few fresh bouquets and plates of freshly baked bread. Every chair was taken. There was the pop of a wine bottle, the soft clink of spoons and forks, and Uncle Ray telling a joke I'd heard a dozen times before. Everyone was there, Aunt Claire, Cousin Jenny, even Sister Denise with her toddler, but not me. Before I could open the door, my mother's voice cut through from the kitchen, sharp and cold without looking up. "Why are you here?" I froze. The smell of onions and burnt butter filled my nose. She kept chopping, not glancing back, not waiting for an answer. My father sat at the kitchen table, steam rising from his coffee, next to the Houston Chronicle crossword. He looked up as if remembering something, then said calmly, "We told you this year is just for family." There was no jest in his tone, no hesitation. Just a simple statement as if I, their youngest daughter, had once been part of their concept of family, and now wasn't. I tightened my grip on the gift bag's handle. A silver bag with navy tissue paper holding a memory album I'd designed myself, a handwritten letter, and 2 business-class tickets to Hawaii. I'd spent 3 weeks planning booking ocean view hotels, reserving spa treatments, arranging time off, and paying for it all from my own savings. It was the gift I'd hoped would bring them to tears. Instead, they didn't even look at me. I said nothing. I didn't ask why, didn't beg for an explanation, didn't plead to stay. I just walked to the small wooden table by the living room, carefully placing the gift bag down as if it might break. Then I turned, opened the door, and left. As I stepped into the yard, my eyes caught Aunt Claire's through the living room window. She blinked, starting to stand. But I walked faster. No one followed. No one called me back. I got in my car, closed the door, and started the engine. My heart beat strangely calm. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. I didn't feel hurt, at least not yet. My name is Rachel Marie Andrews. I'm 32 years old. I live in Austin, working as an event manager for a media company. I have a small apartment, a cat, and a life many describe as stable. I don't smoke, I'm not in debt, I'm never late to family gatherings, and when relatives need financial help, I'm the first they call. At least I was until today. I used to think I was an indispensable part of the Andrews family. I was the responsible daughter, the reliable one, the go-to person. And that was the trap I walked into. 3 weeks ago, Aunt Claire called me. "Sweetie, your parents are celebrating their 35th wedding anniversary this month. Everyone's coming. Almost the whole family. You'll be there, right?" I remember smiling faintly, saying I'm planning a surprise. That surprise was the Hawaii tickets. As a kid, I'd heard my parents talk endlessly about their dream of visiting Waikiki. They'd say, "when we can afford it," but that moment never came. So I decided to bring it to them sooner. As my car turned out of the neighborhood, I pulled over because my hands started shaking. Everything happened too fast. Emotions piled up before I could name them. Humiliation. Shame, anger. No, just emptiness. Like I'd been pushed out of a house I once called home, and now no one remembered I'd lived there. I turned on the AC, cracked the window slightly. The breeze brushed through my hair, dislodging an old calendar hanging from the rearview mirror. It was a family photo from 2002. I kept it, smiling wide, standing between my parents holding a soda can. The last time I saw us happy. I started driving back to Austin. 2.5 hours, but that day felt like 3 days. On the way, I thought about every time I helped Denise pay off credit card debt, covered Dad's hospital bills, fixed the roof after a storm, or set up streaming services for Mom. I never asked for a dime back, and I never thought I'd be seen as an outsider. At the second turn, my phone buzzed repeatedly. Bank notifications, party planning service payment declined. Streaming subscriptions canceled. Netflix account logged out. Even the holiday calendar app I'd created was deleted. A text from my sister. "Are you serious?" I read it, disbelieving. Not because of the words, but the tone. As if I'd done something awful, not spent my youth patching the family's financial holes. I didn't reply. I had no energy to respond to anyone. I only thought, if this is how they treat me when I give, what happens if I stop? And I did stop. That night, I sat at my laptop, canceled every service I'd paid for, stopped monthly transfers to my sister, froze the account for my parents' home repairs, deleted all Netflix, Spotify, and HBO passwords, not out of hate, not for revenge, but because I needed to breathe. I needed to live for myself. I didn't know I'd just started a war. I thought maybe in a few weeks they'd understand. Or not. But at least this time I chose me. I didn't know that evening was just the prelude. That more was waiting behind it. Things that forced me to face a big question: if they don't truly see me as family, why hold on to them? And then I received a handwritten letter, no return address, only Grandma wants to see you. The 11th text came when I stopped at a gas station outside College Station. Are you serious? Just 5 words. But the tone cut like a blade to the softest part of my chest. Sender, my sister, Denise. She didn't ask, are you okay? Or have you made it home? She just asked if I dared do the unthinkable: disappear. I stared at the screen. For a moment I could almost see her face through those cold words, brows furrowed, lips pursed, that familiar, icy glare I'd seen whenever I didn't yield to her on time. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because for the first time I felt I owed them no explanation. I swiped my card, filled the tank. The air was cool, but the dry Texas wind stung my nose. I breathed deeply, letting the sensation sink in, a reminder. I'm awake, I'm here, and I'm choosing again. Back in the car, my phone buzzed again. Bank notification: party planning service canceled due to blocked source account. Then Netflix: your account has been logged out of all devices. Spotify, Hulu, Amazon Prime all vanished from my phone like they'd never been mine. I laughed quietly. Not in pain, not quite in irony. Just an acknowledgement I'd finally reached my limit. As my car rolled onto Highway 290, I thought of Denise. She's 4 years older, has a 6-year-old son, works as a clerk at a small insurance firm in Dallas. She doesn't like tech, never reads loan terms, and trusts no one but family. When her first car was threatened with repossession, I wired $1 or $200 in one evening, no questions asked. When she bought a new phone to keep up at work but lacked credit, I co-signed. When her son had a fever for 3 days and insurance hadn't approved hospital fees, I called a pediatrician friend and covered all upfront costs, no repayment required. I used to think family helps each other, but no one taught me that helping doesn't mean you're owed gratitude. Back at my Austin apartment, dusk had settled. My cat Molly sat on the windowsill as usual, waiting for the sound of the door. She rubbed against my leg docile, as if nothing had changed. Only I had. I hung my coat, opened my laptop. No music, no phone, no TV. I needed nothing but a clear decision to stop. I logged into my bank, went to recurring transfers. First line $800 month to Denise. Rent. Canceled. Second $1 $200 month to Mark and Lillian. Home repair fund. Canceled. Third HBO Max, shared with Mom's account. Canceled. Spotify playing Dad's favorite evening song, canceled. Hulu, where Aunt Claire watched K-dramas at noon, canceled too. I logged into Netflix. The profiles were still there. Dad's pics, Denise and Liam Claire's chill time. I renamed the only one left, not free anymore. Then logged out all devices. I did it all in silence, no texts, no warnings. Not to retaliate, but to retreat. To step back from the role I'd played too long. The good daughter, the sacrificing relative, the obedient child. I used to think if I'm good enough, they'll love me. If I give enough, they'll value me. If I keep the peace one day, I'll be indispensable. But today, I learned something simple. They don't need a reason to exclude you. They just need to know you won't fight back. And now I'm fighting back. Quietly. Civilly. But absolutely clearly. I brewed myself tea. Molly jumped onto the table, curling into a small fluff ball, breathing evenly. Outside, the night breeze blew softly. For the first time in years, I didn't check due bills. I didn't calculate if my salary covered 3 family loans. I just sat in the silence I'd once feared, now a place I could breathe. I don't know how they'll react. Maybe anger. Maybe they'll call me ungrateful, cold, changed. But they can't control me with sweet words or baseless rage anymore. I turned off app notifications. Removed family from my personal calendar access. Changed the email password I'd once shared with Dad for his water account. I left nothing but silence. But there's no hatred in me. Just one thought clearer than any excuse. Enough! The next day I opened my laptop to check necessary notifications. Nothing urgent, except one surprise. A letter. Not an email. Not a text. A handwritten letter. White paper, blue ink, no sender's name. On the envelope in familiar slanted handwriting to Rachel. Private. I opened it. One line. Grandma wants to see you. I sat still in my kitchen, lightly holding the letter's edge. No more words, no address, no phone number, no explanation. But I knew. This wasn't random. My grandmother never meddled in family disputes. She lived apart serene, and was the only one who never borrowed a cent from me. If she spoke up, there was something I truly needed to hear, and for the first time in weeks my heart stirred not with anger or sadness, but with a small spark piercing the dark clouds. I picked up my phone. My finger found her name in my contacts, Agnes. Grandma. I pressed call. The phone rang 3 times before someone answered. I knew they'd come before they knocked. Something in the air shifted that Saturday morning. Too quiet. The sunlight streaming through the kitchen window hit the wooden floor coldly, indifferently. Molly, my cat, didn't curl at my feet as usual. She crouched on the windowsill, ears pricked toward the front door. My heartbeat skipped, though I didn't know why. When the doorbell rang once I didn't move. By the 3rd ring, I walked over, peering through the peephole. As expected, Dad and Mom. Dad wore his old wool jacket, holding a paper bag with convenience store muffins. Mom stood beside him, clutching a small card with embossed thank you text. They said nothing. Didn't call my name. They just stood there, cheeks tight, lips slightly pursed like insurance salespeople pitching something they knew was futile. I opened the door, just wide enough to block the entry with my body. Mom spoke first, her voice soft as a breeze through a screen. "We just want to talk." I didn't answer. I stepped aside silently, neither inviting nor blocking. They entered like strangers sitting on the sofa, like they were visiting a casual acquaintance, not their daughter. Dad chuckled, said something about the weather. Mom asked about my health, my job. Bland, harmless questions meant to fill the void. Then, as I predicted, they got to the point. Mom spoke, first gently, as if asking something awkward. "You haven't canceled the Hawaii trip, have you?" I looked at her, then at Dad. No remorse in their eyes. Just a faint hope I'd kept the gift they hadn't bothered to open. I answered clear, without hesitation. "It's sold." No explanation, no regret. Just a sentence that floated in the room like a stone dropped into a dry well. Mom's face fell for a split second. Dad said nothing, but his gaze slid away like he'd just heard the living room TV broke. They stayed a few more minutes. No one touched the muffins. No one opened the card. Finally, Dad stood, saying, "We'll talk later." Mom looked at me as if recalculating every possibility in her head. Then they left no goodbye, no glance back. I closed the door, stood still. My heart held nothing but emptiness, like I'd watched a bad play where the audience clapped out of politeness. 3 hours later, I stepped out to my car for groceries and noticed something wrong. My car, new tires last month, tilted forward, the front end dipping like it was booing in shame. I crouched. The front tires were slashed deeply, rubber torn like gaping wounds. Not a nail. Not an accident. This was deliberate. I didn't panic, didn't get angry. I walked back inside, opened my laptop, and logged into the security system. 7:12 p.m. the previous evening. A gray sedan parked at the curb. Engine running. No one got out. A man stepped from the passenger seat. No hat, no mask. It was Dad. He walked straight to my car, crouched, his hand holding something glinting under the streetlight. 20 seconds later, he moved to the other side. Repeated. Then returned to the car. The driver was Mom. I didn't save the video. Didn't call the police. I just picked up my phone and did the one thing I'd hesitated on for so long, logged out of the joint bank account we'd set up for emergencies. Balance $12, $314. I transferred it all to a new account, no ties to me. Closed the old one. No notice. That evening, Uncle Ray posted a long Facebook status. It's sad when family members use money as a control tool. Family is for love, not a competition of who gives more. Comments poured in from relatives. Some snarked, "Some think they're a bank, but forget money means nothing without gratitude." Aunt Claire stayed silent. My sister liked the post. I did nothing. Until I saw a comment from Mom. We never asked. But maybe the kindness of elders is the easiest to overlook. I opened my photo gallery. Found the picture of the plane tickets and payment receipt. I picked a clear one and posted it online with a short caption. This was the gift. They said this year is just for family. I turned off my phone right after. I didn't want to see comments. Didn't need to know who defended or attacked. I just needed the truth to stand there, no justification. The next morning, my voicemail was full. Dad said he lost control a bit. Mom said, "You're overreacting, Rachel." My sister texted, "Now everyone knows. Congrats." I didn't reply. A week later, Aunt Claire messaged privately, "Grandma wants to see you. Not to take sides, just because she thinks you need to hear something no one else has said." I knew that meeting wouldn't be like any other family talk. No tears, no blame, no one playing victim. Just me and someone who'd been silent for so long now, ready to speak. I thought I'd grown numb to family calls. Every message carried the same tune-blame accusations, or attempts to pull me back with familiar labels: daughter, sister, good grandchild. But this time, seeing Agnes, Grandma, on my screen felt different. I answered. No sigh or immediate questions on the other end. Just her voice, low and clear as always. "Hello, dear. I hope you're well." I nodded, then realized she couldn't see. I said softly, "I'm okay, Grandma." A brief pause. Then she spoke slowly. "I'm planning to sell the house. Want to move to Galveston. The sea's calmer than the noise here. But I don't trust anyone to help me except you." I don't know if I was moved by her words or the trust in her voice. Probably both. Among those who always demanded, she was the only one who chose me not for gain, but because she believed I didn't need a motive to be kind. "I'll come," I said. "I knew you would," she replied, then hung up as gently as she'd started. I arrived at Grandma's on Thursday morning. The 2-story wooden house still sat at the end of a quiet alley near the park, with vibrant red bougainvillea draping the iron gate. She opened the door before I could ring. She was thinner than the last time I saw her, but her eyes were still bright. She didn't hug me, didn't overdo it, just tilted her head, inviting me in like a host who knew hospitality meant respect, not performance. I followed her to the kitchen. The teapot was ready. 2 white porcelain cups with silver rims sat neatly beside a plate of almond cookies. We didn't talk about family, not about Facebook, not about slashed tires or Uncle Ray's post. We talked about her garden flowers, about the neighbor's cat that visited her window at 4 p.m., about the organ she no longer played but kept. By noon, she pointed upstairs, "Your mom's old room. It's where I keep the house papers. Go up, help me sort them." I nodded, went up. The room was lightly dusty. Sunlight filtered through the curtains, casting long streaks on the carpet. I started opening cardboard boxes, mostly old papers, bills, contracts, some black and white photos. I sorted, stacked. At the last box, I found a leather-bound notebook, faded green. No name, no label. Just a silver ribbon tied lightly as a bookmark. I opened it. Slanted, bold handwriting identical to the letter I'd received days ago. May 4. Today, Denise asked for money for Liam's dental work. Mark said the roof's leaking, needs fixing. Claire said she can't cover Jenny's tuition. Everyone needs something. Rachel says nothing. Just transfers money and says, "If you need more, tell me." No one asks how I feel. No one thinks I still see and hear everything. If there's anyone in this house who knows how to love without conditions, it's Rachel. I didn't know when I started crying. Maybe at No One Asks. Maybe when I saw my name written not as a provider, but as someone truly seen. I sat on the floor back against the wall, clutching the diary like it was proof I wasn't crazy, that my pain wasn't imagined, that I hadn't overreacted. Grandma's soft footsteps came up the stairs. She stood at the doorway, not asking what I was reading. Just looked at me with a gentle gaze, the kind only those who've lived long enough can give. No curiosity, no judgment, just presence. I wiped my tears. "You knew everything, didn't you?" She nodded. "Every bit." "So, you're not mad at me?" I asked, voice choked. "Mad?" She smiled faintly. "I only regret you grew up in a place where kindness was seen as duty. And you never complained." I couldn't reply, just nodded. That afternoon we sat on the porch watching sunlight filter through the cottonwood trees. Aunt Claire stopped by bringing a bag of waffles. She asked only one thing. "You okay?" I nodded. As she left, she placed a hand on my shoulder, whispering like a seasoned confidant. "Forgiveness isn't because they deserve it, but because you need peace. Some forgiveness isn't to forget, but to live on without being torn." That evening I sat alone in Mom's old room. Through the window, cracked streetlight glowed on the old desk where a frame held a photo of Grandma and me when I was 8. She hugged me, my hair a mess, both of us grinning until our faces wrinkled. I picked up the frame, wiped off the thin dust, and set it back neatly. For the first time in years, I felt I was coming back. Not to a house, but to a part of me lost amid conditional love and duties disguised as family. The next morning I told Grandma, "I'll help you sell the house. Find the best place for you to live peacefully just as you want." She smiled. I never doubted that. And neither did I. I returned to Austin a few days later carrying a copy of the house contract, a list of upscale Galveston apartments. and a strange feeling peace. I no longer hoped my family would understand, but I had someone who believed in me before I even dared stand up for myself. And then as I started preparing legal documents for Grandma, a thought formed maybe before she left that house. I should give the family one last chance, not to apologize to me, but to face themselves. I wrote that letter on a silent evening so quiet I heard the clock tick each second. No cars outside, no phone notifications, no work emails. Just the sound of my pen gliding across paper, slow and steady as my own breath. Dear everyone, Grandma's moving soon. This may be the last time we gather under this old porch. I invite you to her house next Sunday afternoon. Nothing grand, just light tea and some memory photos. No need for gifts. Just come. Rachel. I wrote no more. No explanations. No revisiting the past. I left blanks for them to fill if they chose. I sent handwritten letters. No emails. No texts. I wanted them to hold it like a formal invitation free of blame or expectations. In the days waiting, I didn't call anyone or check who'd come. I prepared like it was an event for strangers, chose a cream-colored tablecloth, ordered almond cookies, and Earl Grey from a familiar shop, rented a small projector, and edited a video from old photos I'd collected over years. For 35 years, I'd been behind the camera. Birthdays, Thanksgivings, Christmases. I was busy snapping with few photos of myself, but I had them all. When they laughed, when they fought and made up, when they blew out candles, or grimaced at salty soup. I gathered those memories, arranged them into a timeline. No commentary, no sappy music, just images. The truth, as it was. Sunday afternoon, soft sunlight, no wind. I arrived early, helping Grandma set up chairs in the backyard. Under the bougainvillea, we placed 3 small round tables, 4 chairs each. Not too intimate, not too distant. I wasn't sure who'd come, but Grandma just smiled at my worry. If they come for me, they'll come. If not, it's lighter on the heart. At 3, the first doorbell rang. Aunt Claire. She came alone with a box of pastries. Said nothing, just set them down and hugged me lightly. Then my sister Denise, carrying her son. Her husband didn't come. Her face was stiff, but her eyes shimmered like someone afraid to breathe deeply. One by one, they walked through the gate, Uncle Ray, cousin Jenny, Aunt Linda, and my parents. Dad avoided my gaze. Mom smiled, awkwardly nodded, then looked away. No one mentioned Hawaii. No one asked why I did it. No one apologized. I didn't expect them to. When everyone settled, I stood. Thank you for coming, I said, eyes on no one in particular. Before Grandma moves, I thought it'd be good to look back at the journey we've shared. I turned on the projector. Light flickered on the white screen hung before the bougainvillea. The first image appeared, Grandpa and Grandma holding Mom on her 3rd birthday. Then my parents' wedding. Then the kids' grandkids' holidays, meals, blown-out candles. In each photo, I saw what they'd likely forgotten moments they loved, without calculation hugs, without strings, smiles without conditions. And in all of them, I was somewhere in the background. The photographer, the planner, the cleaner, the one unnamed, but always there. When the video ended, no one spoke. No applause, no comments. A strange silence fell, not from awkwardness, but because everyone saw something they'd tried to avoid. I stepped forward, took Grandma's hand. Her hand was thin but warm. I turned to everyone, no smile, no pretense of nobility, just said, "Thank you for coming. I'll head out first." Then I left, leaving them behind. I didn't need to hear what they said after I went. I didn't want apologies spurred by public pressure or fleeting emotion. I left them with themselves. Forgiveness isn't absolving others, but choosing to drop the burden you no longer want to carry. It's not repainting the past prettier, but living on without being chained to it. That evening I returned to Austin, opened my small apartment, brewed hot tea, and sat beside Molly, my loyal cat, a soft shadow. I didn't feel weightless, didn't feel euphoric. I just felt calm. And after everything, that calm was something I thought I'd never have. The next day I called Grandma. "You okay?" I asked. "I've never felt so light," she said. "But are you sure you're okay?" I looked out the window where sunlight hit the trees starting to shed leaves. "I don't know if they'll change, but I gave them a chance. The rest is up to them." She paused, then said gently, "So are you ready now?" "Ready for what?" "Help me pack the house, and receive what I've prepared for you." I was surprised. "What is it?" She didn't answer right away, just said before hanging up, "You'll know when you open the right drawer of the living room bookshelf." I didn't open messages. No reason to anymore. After the gathering, my phone buzzed, often mostly silent. Texts showed only first words. Sorry for that day. I've thought again. I didn't know, but I didn't click. I didn't want to know what people say when they feel they must say something. I just wanted to hear myself for the first time after years of silence. A week passed. No frantic calls, no unusual tension. Just a few quiet emails with apologies, no pressure. A text from my cousin who'd shared the post attacking me said, "You don't need to reply, but I was wrong." "I'm sorry." I read, didn't reply. Not out of anger, but because I needed my own peace untied to the duty of responding. I grew used to a life without burdens. No monthly transfers, no home repair bills, no urgent hospital fee texts, no Netflix link used by 4 devices at once. I lived in my small Austin apartment, where dawn softly lit the kitchen window, and morning jazz wasn't drowned by familiar complaints. Molly, my white cat from college, became my only utterly loyal companion. Grandma moved to a new apartment by Galveston's coast, a cozy second-floor unit with a balcony for herbs and an old white-painted wooden table. I visited weekends bringing cinnamon bread and fresh flowers. She was still healthy sharp, but moved slower. She never mentioned the gathering. Didn't ask about my parents. She just talked about new neighbors, the chair she set for sunsets, and occasionally asked me to open a stubborn peach jam jar. Once, while sorting books in her living room, I recalled her words, "Open the right drawer." I hadn't yet. I pulled it gently. Inside was a cream-colored envelope, ink slightly smudged, Rachel. I opened it. A handwritten letter. Her slanted script. "Dear, I've seen much I never spoke of. Seen you carry burdens, give silently, and seen your eyes when you were pushed aside like a stranger. I never stepped in, not because I didn't care, but because I believed you'd know when enough was enough. And that day you did. You don't owe anyone anything. Just keep the peace you've earned with your kindness. A kind person isn't one who never angers. It's one who knows their heart's limits. I love you, Agnes." I sat on the floor holding the letter long. Didn't cry. Just felt sunlight pierce thick clouds in my heart. 2 days later, I saw Uncle Ray's new post. Some things can't be taken back, but some people deserve a fresh start, even if just in silence. No tags, no specifics, but enough for those who needed to understand. Denise, my sister, called again. This time she said little, just cried. I stayed silent on the line. Didn't promise help, didn't tell her to stop. I just listened, letting her know I was still me, but no longer a shadow. A week later, I brought Lavender to Grandma's. She was reading on the balcony. Seeing me, she pointed to the chair beside her. Said nothing. We sat in silence, sea breeze brushing her silver hair. That evening, I opened my journal for the first time in months. I wrote. I gave them a chance. No one knows if they'll take it. But I chose to forgive not for them, but because I deserve peace. I closed the journal, set it by the bedside lamp, and exhaled light and true. I don't know what the future holds. Not sure if they'll change, but I know I've stepped out of that cycle. No need to win. No need to be right. Just to live as myself. And sometimes, as Grandma said, living true to your heart, that's already a miracle. When I share this story, what haunts me isn't the past hurts, but what I once accepted in the name of family. Family can uplift or wound deeply. But I learned forgiveness isn't for their ease, but for your freedom. I don't write to accuse. I just want to remind sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is stop. Stop sacrificing endlessly. Stop trying in vain. And start living your own life peaceful, awake, without resentment. If this story struck you, if you saw yourself in it, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your story. Follow the channel for more stories, raw slices of family love, and choices of young people today. Because sometimes hearing someone's tale is a way to see yourself anew.